back to Explore Overland, and today we're going to head up the Barkley River Jeep track, and we'll be heading on up in old Disco here, which is a bit of an old weapon if you've been following along on Explore Overland. And she's running on these Bridgestone all-terrains, and they're a very road-biased tyre, and you'll see later on through the video just how well they work over the rocks all the way up on Barkley River Jeep track. And for myself, I've been up Barkley River Jeep track many times over the last 30 odd years, and what we're doing today, heading up in the Disco, just on the Skenes with the one locker, is a bit of a challenge. And once you're in it, it's like a big funnel. It just, there's no getting out of it. It just channels you the whole way up to the top of Mount Skene. And it just gets so enclosed, you'll see with the drone and all the things that happen on the way up. But if we get into trouble today, it's pretty well walk home because no one's coming to rescue us. We did have a camera crew with a supercharged LS patrol with a 7-inch lift and some 40-inch treps, but it couldn't keep up, so we had to leave it at the bottom. And we did source an 80-inch Land Cruiser, but unfortunately no one wanted to be seen in a Toyota. So on that cheeky note, let's have a look at old Disco scaling up the side of Mount Skene. Let's head on up for a bit of a look here, and you'll be able to see through the trees, although it's very enclosed, the Jeep track heads all the way up here to the top of Mount Skene, just in the sort of left-hand side of the screen there. It's very overgrown, lots of sticks, very hard to fly the drone as well. And obviously we're on the eastern side of Mount Skene, on the Barkley River side. And you can see below where all the boys camp up before they head up the Jeep track, and they warm up those traps, a bit of circle work before I'm heading on up. Just to fire the old Ranger up, so he gets on the phone to the Mansfield TOG and says there's a heap of cruisers and patrols headed your way with 37s and 5-inch lifts. Release the canaries. But look at the bright side, we wouldn't have all those Instagram posts with all the big ribs with canaries on them and why are they picking on me. I love those posts. It's good to look back and reflect on being young. Everyone's picking on me, and I had nothing to do with it. I've forgotten what it's like to be that young now. And speaking of canaries, up we go in the Disco. A lot of logs and stuff in the bottom, the base of the lower end of the track here. People trying to get probably more standard rigs up here, or trying to get the bigger rigs up here when it's raining. Be quite slippery. You can see that orangey red clay there. It'll get a bit slippery when the tyres get full of it. And you see here I come to a little bit of a stop. There's a step up in this, but I'm in no hurry to rush things and rush at things and break anything. So I just pull her up, come to a bit of a stop, and then just have a second look at it, and then just drive it comfortably instead of running at it. And we're only about 100 metres into it, but you're starting to see it's a gentle climb up even here at the bottom. And that's the road back down to the Barkley River behind the logging trail that you can see in the background there. And you can see there just a bit of a gentle wheels off the ground. The old Disco's set up pretty soft. She's very plush, you can see it's just coming off that rock there. It's very comfortable on this sort of terrain. Just wraps the tyres around the terrain, and the suspension just soaks up any of the ups and downs and undulations. Very flexible rig, and as I've discussed before, it's pretty close to standard except for those EFS shockers in the rear. 50mm lift, and just coming up, staying on the crest of all of this stuff where you can get a wheel down because we're only on the little Skenes here. And you can see straight away here we're really starting to get off angle pretty quick, and all the way up Barkley River Jeep Track, you'll see the Discovery, even though it's a very well balanced car, it'll be lifting wheels all over here because it's very off angle. And just coming up here is a good indication. You watch the car lean off towards the downside as the weight sort of transfers down, and you can just see any acceleration is bringing the wheel up because it's wanting to turn over, pull the body over sideways. And this thing's very well balanced. Got a really great centre of gravity. You can see the big rigs here, the bigger rigs, the bigger, heavier cars, especially with the lifts, they'll be tending to wanting to fall over a lot on this track, and that's why generally they'd be probably running at things flat out because it's a very ordinary feeling trying to crawl over something like that when the car's trying to pull itself over backwards from the top. And we're just easing our way in through the growth here. It starts to get quite overgrown now. And you can see I'm trying to get the drone to find a way through here. I'm just looking around, but it's just so overgrown, it's refusing to move forward. Like I could go right up, but then the issue would be trying to come back down through it. So I'm going to try and fly the drone, keep it up behind the car close, and try and fly it up down here at car level and get it through. Some pretty good close-ups of flora and fauna on the way through here at Barkley River Jeep Track, including a couple of crashes. Many crashes on this trip. This is also a part of the High Plains trip that's going on at the moment, but I've just singled this one out into its own little video, and this was done very late in the trip on the last day. Just as a bit of a side note, when I was coming over Mount Skene, I thought I'll just flick down there and get that on video. And you can see here it gets starting to get a bit rocky and loose rocks, and I've just come up against a rock shelf here. I'm just going to ease it up on it. It's quite off angle. You'll see it lift a wheel here, and there we go. We're wheels up on that side. I'll just come and ease off it and have a couple of shots at just trying to find a way up it. There's wheels off the ground again there. Just trying to ease up it rather than have a shot at it. This is where a lot of people will turn them over. They'll get a bit nervous and they still want to go forward, so they'll just get a huge run at it and they'll just launch it over straight over on the roof. So what's happened here is I've got wheels up now. I've got the whole bush inside the car, and I'm trying to fly the drone past where wheels off the ground. All the sensors are going beep, 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 and it's screaming at me, and it's telling me sensors have shut down and all sorts of stuff's going on. You'd think I was trying to fly the Concorde underneath the Eiffel Tower, but we managed to get past here. And you can sort of, you can't really see it, but it's really off angle there, and that's the reason the car's up on one wheel there. I'll just ease off and come back down and just try and find a better way to come at it. This is where it's really good to know your car on the mild tracks and out there in the open and close to home, where you can have a bit of fun and get wheels up before you even get to stuff like this, so you know your balance, you know where you're at. There's no spotters here. I've got to be able to feel where the car is at all times, and you can see I'm just trying to ease it up without getting wheels in the air. And what it's trying to do, because of the angle and the slope, it's starting to turn around on its side here. You can see it working its way around. So it's leaving me no choice to give it a bit of a run on here, so I'll ease up. See, it's going further around. So what I'll do is I'll just get it, ease up onto it, and then just give it a burst to get over it. That's it, back off. Now, if I had have eased up that really slow, that just would have been wheels in the air and trying to turn over the whole time. So I had to just get a bit of a run, but I didn't keep it nailed the whole time. I'll show you right up near the top what the theory is, and it's saved me and it's got me home many times. Now we're just got into an area. I'm just trying to sort the drone out into flying around, but it won't follow the car through here. It's just going, it's looking at that going through there. So I try to get it to follow, and it gets in mind of its own. And then here we are, out in the woods, in the sticks. Yep, and it's a nice crash there. It's one of the many we've been having. I've just gone down to retrieve it, looking for a nice big juicy tiger snake to stand on while I've been down there. And I got it back in the hand there. Now I could have cut, I could have cut all of this out, and I normally do. And I just thought I'll leave it in and show you what I normally go through to get some of this footage. Do a bit of a test here, make sure it's all working in the gimbal. But mainly what I'm doing, I'm out of the car here, I've got everything shut down, and I'm just looking at this switchback to see how I'm going to come up without getting wheels in the air. It looks pretty, it's hard to see from that angle, sort of see it a little bit from this angle, but it's got a really gnarly hairpin in it, and it can get, you'll get wheels off the ground, no worries at all, and it's just throw you over if you take the wrong line. So what I'm trying to do here out on the ground is just suss out a decent way to get around it without lifting wheels, which I think we still did anyway. And we're starting to get into the steeper sections of the mountain. You can sort of get a feel there off the side. The next switchback up, it's very steep off the side. It's cliffish sort of thing off the side. Worst thing is, you on the next one up, you'll see it. I'll explain it when I get there. But yeah, it's a pretty ordinary feeling. You can just see it wanting to lean over there. You know, one of the positives of the track is once you get past that little bit of a clay section down the bottom there, it's all pretty rocky. You know, you don't have to worry about your tyres filling up with mud and skating around everywhere. It's pretty good, reasonable traction. Apart from, you know, loose rocks and that, but it's nothing too crazy. Here we go, we've got another rock shelf coming up here. Sort of get an indication. You see all the black rubber marks there from people giving it full noise. But these rock shelves are pretty sturdy. It won't matter, they'll wreck the car before the tyres wreck the bush, that's for certain. This one's pretty reasonable. It doesn't lean off too much. It's not crazy off angle. It's a nice easy drive. You can just walk up it. And this is not a paid Bridgestone ad. Anyone would think it would now, but these are the Bridgestone duellers, the all-terrain, the road-biased all-terrains, and they've just been working like a dream up here. They just, because there's no steel in the sidewall, they're just wrapping around all these rocks, and the old disco's hardly spinning the wheel. And it's just pulling up there with ease. Yeah, it's really nice scenery on the side of Mount Skene. Just love these lower snow gums, spindly snow gums and all that. The first time I drove this track, they had none of the burnt trees that got scorched in the 2007 fires. It's all still pretty green and lush, but there's a few dead trees and that amongst it now. But you can just see, here's the discos going up. Just check those tyres out and just have a look at the way they're working on this stuff. Now they're only at 20 psi. Like they're not even let down outrageously because there's no steel in the sidewall. That's why they're wrapping around things so well. Just walking all of that terrain. Okay, we're at a pretty cool spot on the track here. This is one of my favourite spots of the track. It's got some great views backwards off here, which you'll see when I come around. But we're up against the rock shelf here, and there's some definite off-angle stuff going on up this way. And what I'm doing is I'm just sussing out the track. I do stop here and have a bit of a look around. But we're back in the car, and you'll see I'm just backing off here. So after I stopped, I back off and I make sure I know exactly where I am rather than just starting off guessing. And nothing will get you into more trouble than starting off guessing. You need to come back and have a good look and suss out where you are even before you get onto it. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here. And this is crazy off angle. I'm just trying to pick my way through here the best I can without getting it too leaning over too much. And old disco just walks up it, no worries. You can see those great views backwards off there. That was fantastic, looking back down towards Mansfield. Another rock ledge as we go around the corner, and it pretty much follows it up on some pretty gnarly ground all the way up through here. Standard four-wheel drives with one locker and not lifted would be doing some serious damage to the underneath of the car and the front of the car up this track. Because they're a lot longer in the wheelbase these days. You can see the step up around the rocks. You can see how gnarly that step is up around the corner. Mate, it's just crazy. But the bit you can't see is off to the left here. You've got to bring the wheel back to get around this and to get a decent run at it where it's not going to tip you over. You'll see it in a second. Just come up here, but she's way off angle. You'll see the presence of the car wanting to lean over as we come up here. Straight away, you can see it wanting the wheels up. And that's just easing into it. I just come forward, get out and have a look and suss this out before we go up. So basically straight down there, straight ahead from me, that is straight off the edge of the cliff here. So what I got to do is I jump back in the car and try and do a 3.2. There's very little room to do it. So the rear the rear driver's side wheel, I'm taking up to the edge of the cliff to get enough room to get back, to turn, to get the car around on the right angle for these rocks, this rock ledge that's about to come up around the corner. So you can't see it here, but that's straight off the edge there if anything goes wrong. And that won't end well. We'll be on the lid for sure. So I'm just coming backwards and forwards here just to get to the right angle. And a big shout out to the bigger cars. This is an absolute nightmare in the big full-size 4Bs trying to pull 3-point turns in this position. This disco's only a reasonably small car. It's a pain in the neck doing it in the disco here. And just out for a look just before I head up, just checking to make sure. Better to get out and look 3 times than roll over once. Okay, now we've set the drone up, you can see the drop. Watch for the drop off the back of here. There really is no margin of error. It's straight away wheels up. And the scrub starts to open up a little bit from now on, heading up towards the top. You can see old Disco's just cruising along over this terrain. And views out of the car off the edge are spectacular. And another thing to mention is this track is covered in snow, most of it, right through the winter. And another one of those rock shelves you just got to line yourself up on. You get a chance of turning yourself over if you go hard right there and try and get up around the hairpin of it. So I'm just lining myself up and giving myself the best shot, the best balance there. Wheel off the ground, and the reverse back. That's just showing, it's a good indication of how off angle it is when you start, you know, when the car's getting around doing that all the time. There's a few different ways you can drive a lot of the stuff on this track. The way I'm driving it today is I'm really on the play it safe, because I'm walking out of here if anything goes wrong, even if I'm just braking the car, and the chances of anyone coming past aren't good. Even though it's the Jamison-Lacola Road at the top, it's during the week, and then who's coming down to you might be able to flag someone down, but who's going to come down here to help you? That's the problem. Getting very close to the top now. Only one more really steep section here, and very hard to explain it, and anyone that's ever been on it will know exactly what I'm talking about. Even this little bit here, it's pretty mild, but as you can see, in a standard 4B, you know, twin cab or something like that, it's really going to test it out without a lift. Should be banging on stuff the whole way up. Okay, this is the last section towards the top. It gets steep, but this thing is gnarly as, because it's way off angle, and I'll never be able to pick it up for you enough in this video, although I tried hard. But have a look at those views off the top of there. It's absolutely spectacular. That's looking back out of Barkley River. You can see how steep it gets towards the top as you come up that last bit. But this next section here is all rock shelf. You've got no trouble with traction, but the problem is you've got all these really, you can see it out there on that left hand side, on the left of the picture. That's where all the big rigs have been heading out there, so they don't turn over on this next bit, because it gets quite off angle. So they've been trying to get out the side there and keep it a bit level. But there's a big step up rock shelf there as well, so that can sort of throw you out. Me being on the smaller tyres, I'm going to pick my way over towards the right of the screen, which I'll show you. I'll just go over here for a bit of a look. You'll see where I come up against it. There's a big rock shelf there. Now you can tell, without seeing any videos, there's been some wild full noise, all wheels spinning going up there. Some of the bigger rigs that are running it, and you can see how off angle it is. The old disco's leaning right over there when I put the foot on the brake. Now I got out and I walked this top to bottom and sussed it out, and just made sure I knew exactly what I was doing. Because it's a long stretch, the problem is you've got to try and remember exactly your path through here. So I'm out trying to pick a path, which you'll see in a minute, and you got to remember, because I'm trying to hit the tops of all the gnarly stuff. I'm trying to work my way across the peaks of it, and there's a bit of an indication there as it comes up, but you just can't see how steep it is. But any feet wrong, wheel in a hole, straight over. So you got to try and remember, you pick your way up here, and it's fairly long, where you're going, no spotters, so you definitely got to have your wits about you. You'll see me reversing off it, making sure I even get the start right here, because there's no second chances, and you'll see 3/4 of the way up just how gnarly this is. Okay, we're off. just, you can see how easy I'm going at it. You can tip it over so easy, so I'm just making sure, coming back, getting the position right, and making sure I'm not getting any wheels off the ground, and then just giving it a bit of a bump over this first section, and then aiming for the crests of everything on the way up. Just staying on that high ground there. She's walking pretty well over it. You can see there's wheels off the ground. This next section through here, that there could be very much game over. What I did there was to keep it going, I backed this. The minute the wheels started coming up, it was moving forward, I backed instantly off, waited for it to start going down again, then got right up it again to keep the momentum going forward, rather than wheels up, panicking, and then just launching under the throttle and just tipping it over backwards. And you could see where I nailed it straight after the wheels had come down, after I backed off, still keeping that forward momentum. And that trick there has got me home the right way up that many times on some of the most gnarly stuff you can imagine. And the sad part about that bit of video of that part of the climb is that only the people that have ever been on it will know how steep and off angle that is. That has definitely invoked some panic in people that had arrived at that section and thought it was all over. Well, that was a wild ride up there for Disco on its 32s, one diff lock. She sailed up there, no worries. Adjust any of the bodywork, which is good. All that I know of at this point. That's going to be a pain in the ass, that is. We're going to roll her over on the access track. That's it. Nearly back out on the Jamison-Lacola Road, and I reckon I've enjoyed this trip up the Barkly River Jeep track more than any of the others I've ever been up. It was just a real challenge to get the Disco up there without any damage on the Skenes, on the road by Skenes, with one rear locker. The Disco really is the prime example of they don't build them like they used to. This thing is just, you know, never lets you down. Absolutely bulletproof reliable, and it will just climb anything. It climbs like a bloody goat with suction cups. There's no doubt about it. It's a legendary vehicle. Those old bridgy all-terrains. They cut the mustard up Barkly River.